Well, greetings and salutations. This was a unplanned hangout, but I figured I'd get it out there because I know it's probably going to get discussed tomorrow. Hold on a second here. I'm hearing myself. Let's see here. There we go. Sorry about that. So, Southern Israelite came to my channel the other day and made a post, and I'll go ahead and show you this. Now, apparently, he seems to have he decided to quote me and say that he decided to infer what I had said and said that I was just pointing it only at Oakley and Riley, which I find humorous because I made no mention of any particular individuals in here, and and if I were to mention anybody, I wouldn't mention them. But so let me just run this down for you real quick here. So this is at the bottom of oh, my bad. This is below the FE core laser or FE core camp laser video, and he just said Euclidean geometry does not account for atmospheric refraction. You can't play that card, Sly. Well, here's the funny part. Euclidean geometry. Let me go ahead and just point this out for you. As far as the rule of parallels, um, Euclidean geometry basically says that if you have one line, hold on a second, make sure this is nice and straight. If you have one line and if you have a point below it, then there is only one line which can remain parallel to that when drawn through that point. Okay, it's one of many things that Euclidean geometry talks about. Now he specifically says in his comment, okay, this is a rule that flat earthers depend on when it comes down to seeing things at the horizon. Um, they depend on this rule. Parallel is parallel, period. And so if I can see it, that means that I must be, you know, this must be true. So, and he says you can't play that card slide. Well, here's the funny part. I didn't play the parallel card. Okay, because of exactly this reason. Does not account for atmospheric refraction. Okay, nor does the Pythagoras theorem. Does not account for atmospheric refraction. Okay, now Israelite decided he was going to call up Riley as if I was pointing this at him. Now, I guess you could say by default I told uh, Southern Israelite to go and take his argument to flat earthers because this right here is what they need to know. Because this right here is what they're depending on working. So I just thought I'd, point that out real quick. Now, he also pointed out in his little hangout thingy uh, the fact that I said that I don't care about arguments, I care about proof. You got any? And that is a factual statement, at least from my side. I'm not going to have the argument just to have the argument. He keeps on talking about human logic and stuff like that and why nobody ever takes it into account. Well, I'm sorry, man, but if you are not going to take into account the results that human logic brings, then you can't use human logic as your defense against what human logic brings. Okay, it's just that simple. Um, yeah, I mean, logic doesn't just kind of hang out at being logic. Logic produces results, and those results he's arguing against. So, I mean, just simple stuff like that. But please take a look at this. Go ahead and screen capture if you want. I'm just going. Oh, let me make sure I get everything out here, and go ahead and take a look at it. and tell me where I pointed out specifically Riley and Oakley, because he specifically says, like at least 3 times in his hangout, that I pointed this at Riley and Oakley. And like I said, by default, yeah, I guess you could say that, but I didn't point it at them um, by default because they are flat earthers. Because I just did say, what do you call it? Now go tell flat earthers that their argument with point to point and I see it test cannot conclude a flat surface. Neither Euclid nor Pythagoras account for atmospheric refraction in their conclusions. Now, even Riley admits to refraction, even though he somehow thinks that light doesn't travel. Um, it has to get from point A to point B, but that's just fact. And you can argue about photons and all that as if you were actually smart on the subject. You can do that all you want. I don't care. But yeah, there is no argument to be had here when two-dimensional geometry, okay, Euclidean geometry or the Pythagoras theorem, neither one of them take into account atmospheric refraction. And yet, you flat earthers, they go both sides on this subject. See, they'll say that there's no such thing as atmospheric refraction, and refraction doesn't bend things and stuff like that. But then at the same time, they'll say that it bends things to make the sun go down, to make the moon go down, and various other distortions that we all observe on the horizon. So the short end of it is, you can't just kind of selectively choose when you want to use refraction or not. You just can't do that. Okay, it either happens or it doesn't. Now Riley, of course, he turned around and says I would be smart enough to know that, or I am smart enough to know that. But then of course, at the end he calls me an idiot. Uh, Riley, I just don't even. Yeah. And of course, they brought up the fact that you can't bend light around a curve. I don't know how many times this has got to get showed to you. I really don't. Okay, but let me show you where Euclidean geometry fails due to the fact of refraction. Now, I showed this in the video the other day. This is a test that I did. Okay, I have a laser shooting across a bent iPad screen. Okay, it's just the screen. It's all it is. It's just a bent piece of plastic, basically. And then I shot dust off onto it, and due to the rapid evaporation, causing a higher density at the surface, it bends the laser. Now let me show you this. I'm going to show it to you. Okay, ready? Now, you see where the laser's pointed here. I have it on pause. Now, you see where the laser's pointed there. Now, you'll see in a second when I actually spray this on here and then it evaporates. It's a clear gas. And you watch what happens here. Now, according to Riley, this doesn't happen. Okay. According to Riley and just about every other flat earther, this doesn't happen. Okay. Now, you gotta wait for this. Get a little bit further. It's up here at 5:09, and I just cut the time in half because I know the refresh rate of the Hangout. So hold on. Here it comes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray this with the can upside down so it gets a lot of that shit out on it. Now watch what happens. You saw where it was, right? Now this is distortion because of all the gas in the way, but now look what it does. It's bent down. Okay? Anybody saying that you cannot bend a straight line of light with simple evaporation, sorry, there's I can't help you if you ignore simple things like this. I really can't help you. Okay? This is bending a laser light, which also proves that light moves. This is bending a laser light over a curved surface due to evaporation. And I even went on and did it again. Watch. This is bending laser light. You can even see that it's bent. And I think when I did this, I think I worked it out to it's a little bit more than half a degree, which is an incredible amount across the surface of the Earth. Okay? Bending laser light down. No movement to the laser. You can actually see the clip that was holding on to the laser right there. It's pretty simple stuff. Okay? Pretty cool stuff if you ask me. But, flat earthers don't care. Now, I also did a reproduction of the Dang Joss experiment using the same stuff. What I did was I took a soda can, propped it up on a ironically a GoPro case, and then I'm going to position the camera so that there's two drill holes in the wall way off in the distance. Same wall that I had the stick up on a second ago. Okay, now I actually positioned the camera. Actually, you know what? I'll play that just so you can see me doing it. I positioned the camera so that I cannot see this dot. There we go. Just position the camera so I can't see that dot. Pretty easy. Okay. And then what I did was, now this one's a little bit more sustained because the can is cold. But what I do is I spray the stuff onto the can. There's me actually moving the can. Sorry, I got this on slow speed, so. Okay, now according to absolute geometry, what you're about to see doesn't happen. Now, you see that? This is the drill hole on the other side. You see it actually coming up and becoming visible. Now this evaporation here happens quite quickly. Okay. The things going on the horizon of this can happen quite quickly. Okay, you can even see more of this hole. Okay, but something you couldn't see beyond the curve, you can now see beyond the curve. That's called bending light. Same exact thing that you just saw with the laser. Okay? I don't know what else to tell you, man. So you want to say that we don't bend light? Light bends. It also proves that it's moving. Let's see. Was there anything else that he had in this thing? Let me go ahead and read my, because this is where he said, I just confirmed with Anthony Riley, and he does not believe in Euclidean geometry, as he does not accept the concept of a void. Well, not accepting the concept of a void is basically one of the many, 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 many points of Euclidean geometry. So just because he doesn't accept this part of it doesn't mean he's not banking on all the rest of it. Okay? Let me just read my bulk one here that I sent to him. I said, SI, look, you started this thread by stating that Euclidean geometry does not account for atmospheric refraction, a point which I both agree with and have argued many times with flat earthers, but flat earthers won't let go when they apply the I screw up this name every time, Pythagorean theorem, because that form of geometry is absent all things which can distort one's line of sight in an atmosphere. So in that sense, your opening comment defeats itself if it is arguing in favor of FE. Additionally, if your intent is to say that performing a step test, which was referenced in the video, is Euclidean, sure, I can slightly agree with that. But such a test is performed over a relatively short distance, like a mile or two, where the effects of atmospheric refraction, depending on weather conditions and the height of the laser, would have a minute effect. And since the argument, when it applies to a laser test of this sort, is only about determining the shape of the surface of the water, we're not really grabbing millimeter values. Stepped measurements would make it abundantly clear if the increments were linear or exponential. So ultimately, thank you for your post, your support of the globe. Now go tell FEs, which he interpreted as go tell Riley and Oakley. Um, Go tell FEs that their argument with a point-to-point and I see it test cannot conclude a flat surface, as neither Euclid nor Pythagoras account for atmospheric refraction in their conclusions. Period. So, I don't know what the point of your little hangout was. I don't much care, honestly, but I just figured it was a good idea to respond. Because just because you run around, oh, and by the way, just because you run around quoting books, which I think Jaron would actually call you a parrot brain for doing that. Um, just because you go around possibly even misquoting books, as some people have determined. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to tell you, dude. But I would love to hear Riley's response to the two videos I just showed, seeing that he is jet set that atmospheric refraction, which he claims is going in all directions, can cause the sun to go down, but he can't demonstrate it. But I can demonstrate the difference between a laser going over a curve and a laser going over a flat surface and show that it only bends light over a curve due to evaporation and refraction. Okay? So, just figured I'd throw that out there. Southern Israelite. Oh, and by the way, you bringing up stuff that you claim that Reds couldn't answer. The parts that I saw of y'all's debate, there was nothing for him to answer. Now I know you're going to misconstrue what I just said there by saying, "See, he couldn't say anything, and you're admitting it." No, all you did was bring out quotes that you claim supports your theory without any demonstration of anything that you quoted. So, don't much care, actually. Really don't. So, anyway, ladies and gents, it's late here. Figured I'd get that out because I got a busy day tomorrow. And y'all have yourselves a nice night.